In presenting videos by various architects in Brooklyn that were designed in the late 1800s, early 1900s, I've selected this group of architects to focus on and try to film all their work as much as I could find out about. And in the course of doing that, I would go by other interesting or beautiful buildings and houses that I also had to film too. And then later I would go back and find out, if I could, who designed a lot of those buildings. Now, some of them I couldn't find the information as to who designed it and when they were built, but that'll be left for further research. But I wanted to show a very wide variety of buildings in a couple of videos from various architects. And I've included a couple of architects that I've shown here in the Brooklyn School, and I'll show one or two of their projects that I haven't shown before. And then there's another group of architects in my reading that are also significant architects in the Brooklyn School. Some of them are older than the group that I've tended to focus on. Some are a little younger. Some are about the same age. And these are all significant architects that I've read about. And I don't have pictures for all of them. I would include pictures of all of them if I had them. But I've highlighted in yellow the ones that going to show some of their projects that I took videos of. I didn't know that they were their projects at the time, and it was only afterwards that I found out who designed what. And so I'll indicate that on the screen in the course of showing various projects. So let's get started. Just wanted to show you how new architecture in Brooklyn sometimes pays homage to older architecture, like these two buildings I just showed you, the old and the new. This, I think, used to be the American Safety Razor Company here at Johnson Street and J Street, and it's now used as an NYU Brooklyn Polytech administration building. And from what I could gather, it was built in either 1920 or 1930, but I think it looks older. I think it looks even possibly going back into the late 1800s, but let's say early 1900s. And they don't know who the architect was, but I think there's a good chance it could either be William Tubby or Francis Kimball, because they were both apt to use such colorful banding on buildings. And it's called John Jacobs Building. Let me just get that name right. His name is up on the side of the building here. I think he is a wealthy donor and alumnus of the Joseph J. Jacobs Building. But I've always liked this building, and it's kind of a gateway to downtown Brooklyn when you come in from the Brooklyn Bridge, and you go down Tiller Street, and then you come in to downtown Brooklyn on J Street. So possibly William Tubby, possibly Francis Kimball, or another architect in the Brooklyn School, of which there are many that we haven't done detailed videos of. But you could do it for another 20 or so architects at least. So this building, if it's potentially one of the 15 or 20 that we've profiled, or it's another one of the architects of the Brooklyn School that we haven't, this is the bridge between those two groups. And in the coming video clips to this video, and probably over a couple of videos, I'm going to show you buildings designed by various architects, known and unknown, that caught my eye while I was filming all of the Brooklyn School Architects buildings. So John Jacobs Building, 1920, possibly earlier, here at 315 J Street or 399 Johnson Street in downtown Brooklyn. The AIA guide describes this building as a gem, and I agree. This is at 166 Montague Street on the southwest corner of Clinton. It was designed in 1891 by George Morse, and it was originally the Franklin Trust Building, and now it's called the Montague Street Apartments. Beautiful. Just focus here on the entrance here. There's two ways to present your address, with little stick-on numbers from Home Depot, or the original way back in the day. It says 161 through 166 Montague Street, and the AIA book describes it as being built on a moat, and I guess this would be the moat, the entrance to the Court Street station on the R train. Montague Street Apartments. It's a former Jewish hospital in Crown Heights. Now it's apartments. (713) Classen Avenue at St. Mark's Place. There's a diner next door. I have to find out who designed this. It's from this revival. It's a beautiful older building here at Gallatin Place and Livingston in downtown Brooklyn. So there's several buildings like that in downtown Brooklyn that might have been once manufacturing or warehouse and then converted to offices and maybe someday residential. But I just have to find out who designed this. Look at the grill work here underneath the arch. It reminds me of H.H. Richardson's famous building in Chicago that was demolished. But it's substantial. So we'll find out who designed it and what year it was built. It's at 177 Livingston Street in downtown Brooklyn. It looks like a branch library right here at the end of Hancock Street on Franklin Avenue. And I'm not sure who designed it, but it's a great design. I'll try to find out who did design it. It's the Bedford Library. Just north of Fulton Street at the end of Hancock at 496 Franklin. Beautiful. This is the Masonic Temple at Lafayette and Claremont Avenues, and it just really looks so significant. And I've wanted to see what it looked like inside, but the one time I tried, they wouldn't let me in. Maybe you have to be a member of the Masons, if there are still members.
beautiful building. The year it was built on the screen. And it's also right next to this cathedral-like church here at the corner of Vanderbilt and Lafayette. I believe it's a Catholic church, and I think the Masons were known for not allowing Catholics. That's kind of weird that they're right side by side. There's so much detail here. This is the Queen of All Saints Church. I would call it a cathedral. In most cities it would be big enough. Since 1879. You see those gargoyles sticking out from the edge of the building. I don't know why they built them or designed them, but it's pretty cool. I don't have information on who designed this and what exact year it was built, but I would guess late 1800s, 1880s, 1890s. And it's one of the many armories in Brooklyn. For some reason, there was a large call for armories where troops would train and march. This is right across the street from Montrose Morris's Imperial Apartments here in Crown Heights at Pacific and Bedford. But as you can see, it's a sizable structure. Looks like it's getting a little renovation over the main doorway. I don't know if you can see in the background, there's the Franklin shuttle. It's just like a two-car train that goes between a couple of stations, links a couple of subway lines here in Brooklyn. And I'm looking for the number. There's two armories fairly close to each other. One is the 13th Regiment and the other one's the 23rd. And of the two, one thing I read was that this looked like the more fun of the two. And the other one looks more forbidding. This is right at Atlantic Avenue, main east-west street in Brooklyn. I'll just go across the street and see if I can read the plaque, see which armory it is so I can keep my armories straight here. It looks like a castle, doesn't it? Cut stone and then brick on top. It's a plaque remembering lost lives in the World War. This is when World War I, they thought that was going to be the only war. So I'll put it on the screen which armory this is. Let's take a closer look here. Like I said, I do not know what it's being used for now. And this is in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Here's a great plaque about the saving of a building threatened with destruction in 1987. 100 years after it was built in 1887, Romanesque Queen Anne revival, the Vin Dome, and what one man did to preserve it. And I was going down another street near here and I saw this We're at Gates and Grand. So it's on the northeast corner of Gates and Grand. Gates and Grand Avenues. It's the Vendome, 363 Grand Avenue. Preserved. And now we're more than 30 years after it was saved. So great job. We're out here in Clinton Hill.